So Naughty Dog's photo mode for The Last of Us exists in quite a few iterations now, what with the Part 2 remaster marking the 6th separate release for the 2-game franchise.
That's a lot.
Each one has seen some differences though, so the idea of photo mode changes is very much a matter of perspective. What makes most sense then is to consider how this release compares to the previous opportunity to take shots in The Last of Us Part 2. So here's a list of photo mode changes the remaster has versus the original Part 2 release on PS4. The camera controls are one of the most important parts of any photo mode, and yes, I know what you're all asking. Have Naughty Dog finally got rid of the orbit camera? Sadly, the answer to that is an emphatic no, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is still encumbered by the same character-tethered orbit controls with no option to pan or tilt. Still, at least they have managed to increase the camera roll to a full plus or minus 180 degrees over the previous 120 degree limit. Let's be clear though, upside down pictures are no substitute for camera freedom. Originally added with the release of the Part 1 remake on PS5, it's great to see the frame forward feature making its way across to Part 2. Found on the first tab of the photo mode UI, this will advance the in-game animation by 1 frame at a time to give you more than just the single moment that you froze the action. It's something that can make a huge difference when trying to capture the perfect moment in combat or just when exploring some of the character idle animations. And it can be especially effective when combined with the slow motion accessibility option. Just be careful not to go too far forwards because there is no frame reverse. Compared to the 6 basic frames found in the original version of the game, the remaster's photo mode boasts a wealth of options when it comes to framing your image. 34 styles include various different aspect ratio crops, some stylized borders, as well as text and logo cutout masks. There are also options to adjust the opacity and the colour with full hue, saturation and luminosity control to make these much more interesting and flexible frames than the usual graphical overlays that we see in most photo modes. Pretty much an echo to the improvements made to the frames in the previous section, the available logo options add more styles and adjustments to the on-screen logos. The number of designs is up from 5 to 14, and you'll find the same opacity and custom colour settings as in the Frames tab to give each logo its own look. Don't forget too that the logos will hop in or out of the different aspect ratio bars depending on their size. Another feature that makes its way over from The Last of Us Part 1 on PS5 and PC is Naughty Dog's excellent 3-point lighting system. Even though the game itself features some stunning lighting effects, having full control like this in the photo mode lets you do so much more with every scene. Each of the 3 lights can be moved and aimed independently and include full customization over their brightness, spread of the light, and their colour for lots of creative options. The only real complaint here is that the lights are still a little on the weak side, even at maximum intensity. Oh, and this seems to be even worse in the new No Return roguelike mode. Hopefully that is something that can be fixed in a future update though. It can be so frustrating when a great action shot is ruined by a character who just doesn't look involved, or when they appear disinterested and vacant while taking a portrait. Thankfully, this is a feature that should help to solve that. Only previously available on the PC version of Part 1, gaze direction offers control over the character's eyes with vertical and horizontal adjustments, along with a handful of preset positions. As a nice touch, even the eyebrows move along with them, so you can ensure that your subject always looks engaged with the action or the viewer in the way that you want. At least that's the idea anyway. Strangely, this feature seems to be disabled a lot of the time, regardless of whether characters are standing still, moving, or in some other animation. I'm pretty sure this isn't as intended, so add this to the list of fixes to look out for. One feature that is so often overlooked in photo modes is the ability to alter settings while the UI menu is hidden. When the thing that you're adjusting has a visual effect to the on-screen image, it really helps if you can actually see it without a big menu box in the way. That is now the case in The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, which lets you hide the UI and then continue to cycle through the various options with a completely unhindered view of the result. This last one isn't a feature of the photo mode itself, but it is an important one. After all, what use is any camera without something to point it at?
Hey, how come we never talked about this stuff?
Not only does this remaster include graphical upgrades like increased texture and shadow resolution and greater level of detail distances, but there's also some entirely new content to explore. The Lost levels offer a look at 3 never before seen early development sections of the game, while No Return adds randomised encounters in a roguelike survival challenge mode. It's especially interesting that this also gives you access to more playable characters, including Dina, Jesse, Lev and Tommy, each with a whole set of styles and outfits to unlock. So that's 8 things then that give something new for virtual photographers to make use of in The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. If you liked this video, be sure to let me know and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.